We got to talk about the Falcons. Yeah, they got the new head coach, Kevin Stefanski. We've been talking with Maria Martin about it leading up to the big hire, and now here we are leading up to the big news conference today, introducing him. He'll be speaking in just about an hour 40. Maria, of course, is going to be there. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So you get one question to shout at him today. What is it?
That's a good question. Here's how I do my press conferences, okay? I'm going to give you a little bit of peek behind the curtain. Typically, how it works in the NFL and in the Falcons, there is a hierarchy in question asking, right? I was the first one at Matt Ryan's. I won't be the first one today. There's an art to this. So I feel out what everyone else is asking, and then I try to ask the polar opposite of what's going on. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I really want to know what him and Matt Ryan look like together. What's that synergy going to look like? Why do you feel like Matt Ryan and you can work together in a synergistic, not a word, I'm going to make it up today, way. So I think that the relationship between Matt Ryan and Kevin Stefanski is going to be paramount in Kevin's success and Matt's success. That's one of my first things that I would be curious about, simply because I don't think a lot of people are going to be asking him that question this morning. There's a lot of things that people are going to want to know from Kevin Stefanski. What do you think about the quarterback situation? That'll get asked first. That's why I'm not asking it.
Yep.
Just what do you think can be successful here in Atlanta? Why do you feel like you can have success here? Because of course everyone has been really hard on him, given he's only had 8 wins in the last 2 years. And so he's going to have to answer some pretty tough questions this morning. But I think Falcons fans should be optimistic. It's an exciting day no matter what. There are no wins or losses on the board right now. He gets to start anew. And if you're paying attention to what's going on in Cleveland, you start to look at Kevin Stefanski and go, okay, maybe it wasn't Kevin's the problem.
Cleveland's always been a tough place to win, though, right?
Yeah, and we've talked about that over the last couple of weeks, haven't we?
Yeah. Okay, so in addition to learning about the synergistic,
I made it up.
Synergy
You're
between
welcome,
the two
everyone.
of them. Yeah. We also expect to learn, how he feels about the quarterback situation. Anything else we need to walk away from today knowing about Kevin Stefanski?
I think that he has a really good plan in place in terms of what his staff looks like. We've started to see that kind of unfold over the last couple of days. And there are some familiar faces for Falcons fans. And so you want to know, why is Tommy Rees going to be your offensive coordinator? He's a very young guy. He's 33 years old. He's been an offensive coordinator calling plays just one time in the NFL. He took over play calling duties from Kevin last year in Cleveland. He's been an offensive coordinator at Alabama. So Nick Saban clearly thinks enough of him to give him the reins on that. That was back in 2023. And so why does Tommy Rees make sense for you? Why did you retain Jeff Ulbrich? That was huge. You and I talked about that. His defensive coordinator, I literally just told you they look very similar, so I don't want people to get confused. He actually joked whenever he walked into the building. There's a funny video of him walking in, looking at Jeff Ulbrich and saying, one of us has to shave the beard, okay? Because they look so similar. But there's a couple of different things. I really want to know his thoughts on Michael Penix Jr., because really that's going to be the key to a lot of things offensively for these guys. He is going to come back, and we don't know the timetable on that return. So will Kirk Cousins be here? There will be questions about Kirk, given their relationship in the past. Because if you don't know, Kevin Stefanski was the offensive coordinator in Minnesota when Kirk Cousins was the quarterback in Minnesota. So they have a very tight relationship. There's a lot of things that I'm curious about in terms of the offensive side of the ball, getting to pick Kevin's brain and what it may look like here in Atlanta, because I think his offensive style really fits a lot of the pieces that are already in place here. Kyle Pitts even went on a podcast saying he's pretty intrigued about the way that Kevin Stefanski uses the tight end. And that's fun to hear a guy that we don't really know if he's going to be here in Atlanta or not. They have some tough decisions to make, and they don't have a general manager in place yet.
Does that surprise you they haven't made that hire yet? It's been a minute.
Yeah, a little bit, but it does mean that they're taking their time and doing their due diligence, which I think is important. And if you remember weeks ago when Matt Ryan was hired, he said he wants the general manager and the head coach not to be best friends, but they got to be somewhat on the same page. And so getting Kevin in here, he's had to put his staff in place. That's one of the most important things that a head coach can do whenever they walk into a new building. That was the first thing that he needed to get taken care of. Not that the general manager is not important. We know that that's one of the key pieces in a front office. But I think having the opportunity for Kevin to also have those conversations with the general manager, what do you feel like it looks like in this way? And he's got guys on his staff with a lot of front office experience. I think this is going to work out well in terms of the timing, although, yes, I'm a little bit more surprised that we're not getting a GM and head coach in tandem this morning.
How much of a role is Stefanski going to have in picking the GM, if any at all?
I don't think he's going to have much. That would just be my guess. I think he'll probably give his opinion, but at the end of the day, there's so many other people at play here that are going to say this is probably best for the organization. But back to Matt's point that I was just talking about, you do want them to have a relationship that makes sense. And so in those conversations, I'm sure Matt is going to be sitting in on those conversations and thinking, oh, I don't see this working out. These guys butt heads in too many different areas. You want them to work together. Now, to Terry Fontenot's detriment, he hitched his wagon to each head coach he worked with. And so I'm curious to see if Kevin's going to take that same approach or the general manager is going to take that same approach as well. The working together, but how much are you doing that? Is it going to ultimately give you or release you of your job? That's going to be an important relationship to watch.
One more question. I got to get you out of here so you can make this news conference. What do the Falcons need to do on draft day?
That's a good question, and especially because they don't have a first-round draft pick. Because remember how everything worked out last year? They did not have 2, but they ended up having 2 because they traded back up into the first round to get James Pierce Jr. I've told you before, that ended up working out for them, right? Because they go back up into the first round. They get a guy who produced 10.5 sacks in his rookie season. There's a lot of upside to that. However, you give away your future first-round pick, which is exactly what happened. So Kevin's sitting here thinking, all right, I've got a quarterback debacle. And again, it's not just his decision. The general manager and Matt also have to make these decisions as well, but he's going to certainly have his opinion on this roster. He's sitting there thinking, well, what do I do with a quarterback without a first-round draft pick? Do you go get a guy who's younger and hopefully you can develop him? That all depends on what you're thinking about Kirk Cousins as well. So there's a lot of things that have to be made and decided on draft day, and the Falcons really need wide receivers. This was well documented over the season. They were really struggling in that area. The drama with Ray McLeod got them even more thin at that position, and so you really just need some depth there as well. So I think they have some pieces in place. It's not a favorable draft for the Falcons this year, but I do think that they can do a little bit to improve, at least in that position.
Kevin Stefanski's news conference coming up at noon today. Reams, are we streaming that live? No way.
No way. The NFL will not be happy with us.
All right. Well, you can catch the highlights a little later. Maria will have
I will let you know what he says. How's that?
Hey, who do you like in the Super Bowl?
Ooh, that's fun. You know, I'm really, really sad that we don't get to see Matthew Stafford, especially here in Georgia. He's had such a good year. But I don't want to pick the Patriots, and I don't want to pick the Seahawks either. But I'm going to go.
You're just in it for the halftime show.
Yeah. I mean, why not? He's going to be fantastic. I would say if you were just going to ask me here to take something, I'm going to go Patriots, which is probably unpopular.
Okay. I'm also rooting for the Patriots.
I'm not rooting for them. Let's be clear, Dan.
I actually am.
Oh, I'm not. I would never root for the Patriots. Let's come on. Let's chill out. But I do think that they can win.
Let's see. I like Mike Vrabel a lot.
I just think the Mike Super Bowl, that's what it is. It's Mike versus Mike. Mike McDonald and Mike Vrabel. Third time that's happened in Super Bowl history, by the way. And it's all been Mike's.
Who else has these fun facts?
Me, I'm like a...
It's all been Mike's?
All been Mike's. I'm a sports history nerd, so any fact that you really don't need to know, I probably know it. I love stuff like that. But yeah, I think that the story of the Super Bowl is just so incredible. I love that it's 2 coaches that went in there and had a lot of success really early. Falcons fans hate the fact that both those guys interviewed in the Ricky Morris. I know.
We're all saying how different it could have been.
What could have been? I mean, you never know. Of course, it's just fun to throw that out there and poke the bear a little bit. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. We poke the bear for sure around here. All right, Maria, great to see you. Have fun today.
I made up some words and gave a Super Bowl prediction. It's great. Again? I don't even remember. Well, no, not opportunistic. No, that's a real word. What was it, Reams?
We're going to have to repeat the tape.
If I say it later today.
Synergistic.
Yes, synergistic. What even is that? I don't know.
All right, it's a word now.